Hello there, and thank you for taking time to listen in to Three Guys Before the Game. It's time for another episode, the 631st. Title, Rosters Gone Wild. Ooh, and they have. Everything is wild in this world of college sports as we know it, and we'll get into it. We're all present and assembled. Brad's here, Hoppy's here, and delightfully, so are you. So let's do this thing. Three Guys brought to us by Jan Dills, attorneys at law. They won't take no for an answer. By Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. By GoMart. Go to a GoMart and pick up that rewards card. You can download it. All I know is this. You immediately begin saving on your food, your fuel. It's the, like I always say, they're putting money in your pocket. It doesn't cost you anything. That's good. Three Guys brought to us by Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. They're getting ready to get kicking. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. Start your day the Three Guys way with a Tudor's Biscuit. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. All right. We're ready to go. Hope you had a good week. It's been a week, right, since we did one of these things? I believe it has been.
I think it's been a month.
Yeah, been a bit. We're going to coordinate here. So what has transpired? What's happening in the world of WVU sports since the last time we got together? Well, last time it was about Ross Hodge taking over, formal introduction. It was the day of his press conference, which was a week ago today. And so all of the newness that goes along with that. Now, since that happened, from the basketball side, putting the pieces together for the new roster. Additions and a subtraction to this point. And then on the football side, we had the showcase on Saturday, and the Mountaineers officially concluded spring practice drills and Rich Rodriguez's first spring practice since his return done. And then immediately, a couple of days after that, Monday, comes word that rosters have been reduced, and as we expected, there are players that no longer will have a roster spot. So we will get into all of that, what's it means, why are we here in the sense of all of this. Plus, we had a court hearing in regard to the House decision, which the big story would be that, yes, this thing is going to be signed. There's a couple of tweaks that the judge had asked to be considered, and then eventually we'll get to it. But the bottom is that July 1, as expected, there's going to be a House decision, and schools will begin to literally pay for play for their players. So we got that. How are you, Hopster?
I'm well, and just, Tony, a lot to unpack there, from individuals on this roster reduction list all the way up to the House decision. But let me make two quick obvious observations. One is, of that list, and you guys can break down some of the names on there, but I think what stood out to me was that you had 12 scholarship players, I believe, about 12 that were on that list, and 5 of those were incoming freshman scholarship players. So why are they on the reduction list? Well, we don't know exactly. I think you have varying reasons. One would be that they didn't measure up to what Rodriguez and staff expected, or those players think they'll have a better opportunity someplace else. So probably a combination of reasons why those players are leaving, and then also creating roster room and scholarship room, because you have other players that are going to be coming in. The portal's going to open on the 16th, so you're still in transition, and Rodriguez and staff have to keep some room there for other players. So, and this is just not unique to West Virginia. This is everywhere because of the 105 limit in roster, and probably 85 in scholarship for West Virginia. So that's the first obvious observation.
It does show you, though, what we've been talking about with college athletics for the last few years. The coaches we're in that difficult spot of having to chop this roster down with some guys that, as Rich talked about, thought they could help somewhere down the road. If this was the old days, you'd keep those guys around, try and develop a few of them, but you got to chop that down to 105. And then as they're doing that, the judge is questioning whether 105 should be the number. Why are we doing it that way? Shouldn't it be stair-step down, which is something Rich and other coaches have been talking about. So isn't that typical of college athletics right now? That Rich is rushing to get things cut and giving those guys, and part of that's to give those guys that they're releasing or that aren't coming back a chance to go find homes elsewhere. So you want to give those guys as much lead time as you can. And as the football programs around the country are rushing to cut those numbers down, the court at the same exact moment, almost literally, is saying, well, hold on, is this the right thing we want to do? Is this the way we're going to do it? Should we look at this? Is there a better way to do it?
Yeah, so Judge Wilkin it's almost like you're building the plane as you're flying.
Not almost like. I think it's exactly.
It's design build.
I think it's exactly like that.
And Wilkin was saying, well, wait a minute, maybe these players should be grandfathered in and they should be able to stay through their eligibility, but you can't if you're a coach and you can't count on that.
No,
right?
You can't count on that, but there's an entire organization that runs this. There's presidents and ADs, and everybody's just sitting around waiting for this one singular judge to ask that question, and now everybody goes, oh, yeah, it's a good question. Maybe we should talk about this. It's just remarkable, the inner workings of this when you get outside of the field of play or the court and the games, that all of this stuff is going on, and how possibly can you manage it when no one has any answers here. And not only does nobody have any answers, and it's what I tell you guys all the time, getting consensus is so hard. Who's making the decision? Who has the decision here? Who can implement rules? Who can say rules are coming? Is it only this settlement? Is Judge Wilkin the singular person that can put things in place right now? Like, who's in charge of this thing?
Well,
it's wild right now.
I think what schools are doing, what WV is doing, is, Brad, you make a great point, is that you can't wait. You can't wait. You got to say, let's pick a plan. Let's pick a plan that we think is going to be the best, and let's move forward.
Yes, you're 100% right, and that's what schools are doing.
Right.
Schools across the country do that. What a horrible way to run a business. We're going to guess at what you're going to say when there's no precedent for any of this, and then we're going to try and implement our business model. Yeah. That's a hard spot to be in for schools.
Something that's hit me here in the last couple of days is just the wow, what you guys are basically saying. Think about this. The people that are in charge of college sports are the college presidents and the athletic directors, right?
Okay.
That's the way it's always been. And the NCAA is simply a term of the agency that supposedly enforces the rules that the presidents and the athletic directors, the schools make.
Schools decide upon.
The schools decide. Okay. So think about this. Think about this utter, just unprecedented mess that we are in college athletics, right? And the people that are in charge are supposedly some of the smartest people in the world. You would say that, right, Hoppy? College presidents would be in the top 3 percentile of intelligence,
sure.
Right? I could see if they gave it to the three of us to figure it out, and we jack the whole thing up. But these are like, and this is institutional. This is over decades. The issues that you're dealing with right now are over decades of decisions that have been made by presidents, past presidents, current presidents, to get you into the situation that you are. This will go down as one of the all-time case studies of how to do it wrong.
Yeah, what you're into, though, I understand. I agree completely. But with this is such a big settlement, and with the hearing Monday and Judge, they came together, and people thought that was going to be it. This was, okay, let's lock this thing down, we're good to go. But then each side says, well, what about this? So we're going to fool around the edges here a little bit, and let me take a look at this. And the judge said maybe these players should be grandfathered in. The NCAA attorney said, I'm not sure we're in favor of that. So the stakes, I guess, are so high, and these entities have these vested interests that happens in court cases all the time. Now it's in the courts.
Yeah, my point is you would never need a house settlement if you had foresight in the decades ago.
Fair enough. I know you're tired of me saying this. I've been saying it. I've been on the air for 13 years. I've been saying it for 13 years because I lived it for 15 years before I've been saying it on the air for 13. The consensus, getting people to agree to what it should look like, is the ultimate problem. What Alabama wants to do is not what Kent State wants to do, yet those teams are supposed to be competing for the same title. And that doesn't even get into or speak to the different sports within here. We're not just trying to get football to have an agreement here. We're trying to bring softball along too, and swimming, and all of these different things. How possibly can you get everybody on the same page? And that chasm has grown even deeper over time as there's been certain leagues that have tried to separate themselves from the others. Is there anybody sitting around in the SEC saying, hey, what would the best thing for college athletics be? Or are they saying at best, what would be best for the SEC? And more than likely, everybody is just worried about their own silo. What is best for X institution? And I get it. That's what the president and the AD, and that's what Wren and Gordon Gee and the new incoming president, they're charged with what's best for West Virginia. Who's looking out for what's best for college sports? And I'm not sure there's been anybody for 40 years as the whole thing is transformed into this behemoth financially. There hasn't been anybody there protecting the overall brand. It's all been people fighting for their own cut of the pie. That's why we've landed here.
Well said. Yeah, you hit it. Exactly. You hit it exactly. And that's where we are. We've gone from college sports being a mom and pop organization, and it just basically exploded into this massive financial entity, and no one knows how to get their arms around it.
And it's hard to.
And the athletes came in eventually here with the House decision and said, we're going to take ours now, which has caused us to be where we are.
It's closer to, we talk about the NFL model so much for college football. It's really closer to baseball than it is NFL. NFL does have everybody has to work together for the greater good, and it's made itself into the best pro sports league because everybody is put in somewhat of a box, and you've got to stay in your same lane. Baseball's different, right? The Yankees are not helping the Pirates.
Right.
And that's clear by the competitive imbalance that exists in that. So it's more analogous to baseball than it is football.
I agree with you, and I think that college football, the way it's said, college sports, is going to end up more like the baseball model, where you're going to have the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Cubs, and that's going to be the Alabamas and the Ohio States, and then you're going to have the other squads. You're going to have the Marlins that are going to be like the West Virginia. I mean, that's got to happen. And unless you had true, because these other schools, I mean, West Virginia and the Big 12 probably going to end up with 85 scholarships, right? That's probably going to end up with. But these other schools, they could have 105 on the roster and could have 105 scholarships if they want. So, and maybe they will, right? And they'll have greater NIL opportunities. So you can't end up being equal.
And again, that's one sport. So finally, after all this time, when SEC says, why are we being constricted in baseball? If we want to have 10 assistants, why can't we have 10 assistants? If we want to fully fund 25 scholarships, we have the money, why can't we do it? And schools in the MAC are saying, well, no, we can't compete with that. And so finally, you're starting to see some pushback from the haves that are saying, well, we're not listening to you. Why are you outvoting us? And that's starting to drive some of the headbutting that's going on. This is a hard fix, guys. I mean, we could sit up here and come up with a couple things to implement. Actually doing it and putting it in place and getting to rules that everybody can compete. This is a hard fix.
I do think conferences will set their number. I think Big 12 will say 85.
Yeah.
And I think SEC, for that matter, will also say 85. But the concern is, a couple of years from now when they go, hey, guess what? As a league, we've decided to go 90. We've decided to go 95.
And
they can up to 105. Yeah.
You know what I think is interesting, Tony? And to me, it's the most fascinating part of all of this, especially when we think about WVU, that you know the least about. We know that Ren Baker says that West Virginia will have expects to have $20.5 million in revenue sharing money. And he said that with great confidence, and we believe the Board of Governors is in support of that. But what has not been clear, for a variety of reasons, is, okay, where does that money come from exactly, and how much is the academic side going to help out? And I don't think we're going to know that until the Board of Governors approves the budgets for the next year coming in June. And then we should at least have some breakdown. Mm-hmm. But even then, you're not going to know, and I guess at that point maybe you'll know that football is getting 75% and men's basketball is getting 15%. You probably know the percentages, something like that. But you won't know what the players are getting. I don't think I think the university is going to say those are protected. That's protected. But I think there's so much money involved and it's so significant to the roster and to the scholarships and the players you have, but you're not going to know. And right now we don't know. That's such a key part of the development of these squads, and you have no idea as a fan what's going on.
Yeah, and I don't think you will, because the Rich Rodriguez and Wren went down this week to the state legislature, and they spoke on behalf of a bill. Well, one of the pieces of that bill is to create a nonprofit entity through the athletic department that is set up similar to what WVU has with its research corporation.
Okay.
So that you can bring money in, but it will not be seen. So that's how they're going to pay Brad his contract, but it's never going to have to be released as to how much money Brad is making.
For competitive reasons, they don't want.
For competitive reasons, yes. Now you're probably going to get schools within your conference sharing information as to, you're going to get an idea. You're going to get an idea as to what things are going for. But that is a big piece that West Virginia wanted in that legislation, so that they can create that entity so that they can have a means to directly pay out.
And there is some competitive parts to that. You don't need schools out there saying they don't have enough money. They don't have enough money to pay you. We have all the money. Like, you got to be careful from a recruitment of players standpoint that you don't need that messaging out there a little bit. So I get some of the desire to be opaque on some of that.
I get that too, but at the same time, some of that's going to be, what a coach makes, right? That's a matter. The contract. That's a matter of public record. But the players, and they're going to have contracts.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have contracts, but that's not going to be part of the public record. Okay. Yeah. And they can put some. I learned this too. You can put some things in there, like, you're going to make this amount of money, Tony. You're going to make $500,000. But if you don't play in the bowl game, you're not going to get. You're going to be prorated out a certain amount of money. I put into. I don't know if you care about this. I put into ChatGPT.
Excuse me.
What?
Who?
I put into ChatGPT.
This now you starting to fart around with that. This is going to get dangerous real quick. Go ahead.
Well, it's just discussion, because
what do you
I think this
Brad?
is.
You think you should have a license to get on or not?
Go ahead. Proceed.
Listen, if ChatGPT comes up with this is no longer an obvious observation from Hoppy that will disallow it.
Okay, but aren't you interested in this? This is a lot of money in the division money, and players are going to make the most they've made since SMU was paying players back in the day. But so I put in, okay, if you had a college football roster and you had $15 million, how would you divide up the money? Now, that's a very subjective, right?
Pretty interesting prompt. Yeah, go ahead.
But
let's see how it handles this, because ChatGPT isn't up on its sports stuff as of yet. Has been my experience. But
go ahead.
Okay. Go ahead.
So this it qualified and said this is a hypothetical. Certainly. But if you had $15 million and you have 105 players on the roster, that's an average of $142,000 per player. But obviously, not everybody's going to get the same thing.
Right.
So what ChatGPT came up with as a hypothetical, starting quarterback, how much you think?
Well, it'll be seven figures.
It should be $1.5 million.
Yeah, $1.5 million to $2 million.
Right.
Okay.
That's correct.
Starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Top wide receiver, $1.5 million.
That might be a little high.
Okay.
Top running back, $1 million.
Okay.
Defensive star pass rusher.
Yeah, that's going to be over seven figures.
Yeah, they had it at 1.25.
Up. It's higher than that.
Higher than that? Okay.
Schools are paying.
Texas Tech just paid 2.5.
Yeah, well, offensive, defensive linemen, they had it $900,000 apiece. But again, that's an average.
For a starter, you're going to be between $750 and 500 and
$5 to $750, I would
for a starter.
Okay.
One thing they didn't have was, shutdown corners are pretty valuable. You got to pay them. All right. Other positions, $500,000 to $800,000. Special teams, $150 to $300.
Hey, you got a problem, Hop.
What?
You just spent $58 million.
No, it comes out. It's at $150,000 to $300,000. It comes out to $15 million.
Okay, so do they pay everyone? Do all 100 or do all 85 players get paid, or do some not get paid?
All right, move on. We're
I'm just fine. I just wanted to see what.
Okay. Well, the point being, I was just looking for some idea.
I think that is a generalization.
Yeah,
It's not too far away.
Yeah, that you're going to pay more for the skill players.
Sure.
The stretch the field wide receivers, the quarterback, the shutdown corners, the defensive end.
What they're going to do,
sackers.
They're going to use
throw it, you catch it, you guard the pass, and you rush the passer, and you block for the passer. There's your spots.
They're using the pro model. Like West Virginia.
Yeah.
West Virginia is talking, and Rich has been talking with his folks, with the pro people, and going, okay, tell us how you value people. And that's how they do it. And so it'll be a version of that.
Quarterback, left tackle. You need a receiver. You need a pass rusher.
Yeah,
but you can't. But also, you can't commit all your money now because what happens in December when the portal reopens?
Yeah.
So you got a lot of things moving.
Well, those contracts that you had. I mean, so if someone pops, then you know.
Well, and so then on the basketball side, as we've seen since March, we're in what, April, 1st of April? So in a month, there are some guys where that market has tripled.
Oh.
It has tripled since March, Hoppy.
Wow.
So that's part of the equation too, is you put some hard numbers down when you're trying to go out and get your guys, and then all of a sudden a couple people pay, and the market's now blown up. And now the market resets itself. Happened last year when Mark Pope got the Kentucky job. Their balance changed the balance across the sport. It's happening again right now, and I think some of that's due to these schools think they have some more money coming in, and it's blown the market wide open again.
Think about this too. So if you go the model, and this wouldn't be exact, but like 75, 15, 5, and 5. So if men's basketball gets 15% of 20 million, 20.5 million is 3 million. Can you do basketball in the Big 12 on 3 million? Okay, then it comes from somewhere. So then football has less.
You got to remember, no, not necessarily. You also have NIL commitments, so you can get other monies. You can get other monies from other people.
How much is available there?
Well,
and it's got to be in relation. You can't just give somebody $1 million and say you're a spokesman for.
Technically, you're not supposed to be able to, but schools will fund this through NIL as well. We had a crazy one yesterday.
What?
JT Toppin, the Big 12 Player of the Year for Texas Tech, said he's going to stay, which surprised a lot of people. He could have gone on to the NBA, second round-ish guy. He's going to go back to Texas Tech for $4 million. That kind of resets the market. Unconfirmed.
Whispered. Unconfirmed.
Yeah. $4 million.
$4 million. But they're the exception to the rule because they've got some some guys with funds there that are billionaires that are young. Like they're so young that they're like still into it. Like a lot of times older guys go like, nah, I ain't doing this. But like some younger guys that just sold their company for $4 billion, an oil and gas company, they're like, what do we need?
Okay, but how do you do that? I mean, how do you do that using outside NIL? I mean, does he do commercials that are worth $1 million? Brad, how do you do it?
There's ways.
Certain things you can do. But that's the number.
Okay.
Three guys before the game is brought to us by Jan Dills, attorneys at law. If you're someone that has been in the workforce over time, you know that you pay into Social Security. We all pay into Social Security. And unfortunately, sometimes life-changing events take place. A significant injury that does not allow you to work, despite the fact that you may want to work, but you can't work. Then you need some help. You need to get additional Social Security disability benefits. That's a difficult chore because 88% of people who file a Social Security disability claim get rejected on their first attempt. That's why it would make a great deal of sense that if you contact and have a need, or someone that you know has a need in this world of Social Security disability claims, go to Jan Dills, attorneys at law. They've basically created their business around this. They serve 48 of our states, so no matter where you are, contact Jan Dills, attorneys at law, and they suggest do it right from the beginning because you want to not be in that 88% that get the initial rejection. So check it out. Visit Jan Dills, attorneys at law. That's Jan Dills, attorneys at law. I'll be in Parker. She's based in Parkersburg.
Okay.
I'll be there tonight. Going to the Boy Scout.
Excuse me?
Going to Boy Scout dinner.
Oh, good for you.
Gonna go Boy Scout.
Might
dinner.
see somebody from the firm there at the Boy Scout dinner. Make sure you say.
I'm sure someone from Jan Dills. I mean, Jan might even be there. Three Guys also brought to us by Comac's Business System, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. I mean, never more than now do you need good water.
Oh.
And one of the outlets, one of the things that when I say they do everything from A to Z, so every kind of business equipment you could possibly need, but these water systems, now that they have these machines, just gets away all the clutter in your break room. So if you've got folks that imbibe water and they're like, you don't want sink water, because let's just be honest. Can we just say this? Sink water really sucks. You don't want that. Brad, do you agree with that?
You can just say the water's good. You don't have to attack everything. You just attack everything in here. Just
why did you attack
the
sink
water?
water
Is really good here that you're talking about. You don't have to attack everything else.
The reason why you need really good water, because if you get it from the sink, you drink out of it. And you just
he would be a big negative recruiting guy.
He would. He'd
just be assaulting other schools.
You don't want to go there.
Kirchhoff, why would you play for him? All of his players hate him. Anyway, at Comac's Business Systems, they have these nifty new water systems, both hot and cold. Check them out. Visit comacwv.com.
It's the best water in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've confirmed that.
Yeah, it is.
But
hey, can I have one quick question? I'll move on from this thing that I'm obsessing about.
Clearly.
If you were in charge and you of the budget at WVU football, or we'll go to WVU basketball as well, and I'm not going to name a starting quarterback. I don't know who his starting quarterback is going to be. What would you budget for the starting quarterback, knowing what we know today, barring somebody else coming in? What would you budget for the starting quarterback at WVU?
It depends. It depends. So that number that you gave there is probably in the range, but that's the average there. If you've got a guy that has not started before, it may be a little bit less than that.
Okay.
If you get a returning guy, say the year when Will Greer came back for his second season, that number is going to be significantly higher. So that's in the range, but it depends on experience. Is Rich going to use two different guys? Is he going to rotate two throughout the whole season? If it does, that changes the dollar amount. So that's why those numbers are flexible and movable. And then some of it, like buying a house, who else is bidding on the house?
Yeah.
Right? That factors into it.
Yeah.
And if it's a returning starter, how badly do you want to keep him? Or do you feel like he had a great year and he did everything he can do? Oh, fine, we're not paying that. We'll let him walk and we can go replace it with a couple of guys that get you close to that, but it's a lower cap number. That's all the equation that they're working on.
I think, to answer your question, over time, it will be seven figures, whether that's $1 million, $1.5 million, and who knows? You know, one day down the road, you might get some absolute stunning star. Kid could be making $2.5 million.
It's not far down the road.
Yeah, I know. I mean, so, but you don't know when. Mm-hmm. But so I'd say a minimum of $1 million, and then go from there.
By the way, that rev share number goes up 4% every year.
Yeah.
For 10 years.
Yeah. And so think about that.
Yeah.
4% when you're doing it, when you're starting it off at $20 million, that adds up kind of quickly, right?
But you just saw how fast your roster cap adds up.
Yes.
Yeah, because,
we've been through that exercise on the basketball side. You can get to that 3, 4, 5 million in a heartbeat and not even blink.
Yeah. We were slotting players during the season going, okay, here, and go, okay, guys, you're over.
Well, we got 4 guys on your roster.
Can you play with 4?
Can you play with 4? Norman Dale. Our team is on the floor.
Those are my 4. Okay, so let me say one last thing about football. It's unfortunate, really unfortunate, that players have been, for lack of a better term, released or cut. As you said, I mean, that hurts. That hurts, man, a ton. And it impacts the person. It impacts their family. They thought they had a plan, but unfortunately, this is business now, more so than it ever has been business. And unfortunately, they're learning that. And it's hard. Yeah. It's a hard thing. I don't know what it'll resolve to as far as what the number is going to be, but it's just a business. And we say it, and it's kind of a trite expression, but it literally is true.
Well, take those 5 freshmen that were recruited by Neil Brown's staff, right? And then, I'm set. I'm recruited by Neil Brown. I'm going to West Virginia. The staff wants me there. A coaching change, and I got to go somewhere else.
Correct. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. You ready to do spreads on stats?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to do spreads on stats. Not that we're playing anyone here but Brad is going to break down the newest members of the Mountaineer basketball roster. Good. He has dug in, and it's time for spreads on
So I check the numbers. We'll just go right to the numbers.
He's still making notes.
Yeah, it doesn't stop.
Doesn't stop.
Analytics portion of the show. Ready? Spreads on Stats is brought to us by Conley CPA Group. They provide value beyond numbers. What's that mean? Well, they're a complete service public accounting firm. They consult with their clients to give them the best advice as to how do you say, navigate the circuitous routes that are presented to us by various tax laws. I mean, you think the house settlement's confusing. Why don't you go pick up tax law? 40th anniversary going on right now. They've been here in West Virginia over 40 years, and that means they've stood the test of time successfully. You can outsource your accounting. You can outsource your CFO services. Visit our fine folks at Conley CPA Group. All right, what do we got?
It's interesting how Ross is starting the roster build here, going size.
Big.
Going size right away. You've got a 7-footer booked. You've got a 6'8", 6'9" in Brennan Lorient, and you've got a 6'8" freshman in DJ Thomas committed already. So let's go down this list. We're going to start with Harald Obioha, 7-footer, previously at UNC Wilmington. Prior to that was at Niagara. So here's what you start with him, and I think you take it from the lens of what Ross Hodge is going to try and do, where he builds it defensively first, and then you go to the offensive end. And so you're looking for as many good defenders and size as you can possibly get, Hoppy. Mm-hmm. It begins there with Harlan, a 7-footer. But he also brings some other things to the table here. An elite offensive rebounder last year per Ken Palm. So when I reference these national rankings for players, what KenPalm.com does ranks 2,306 college players and lists national ranks for different guys. Harlan comes in 16th best offensive rebounding percentage.
It's really good.
Pretty
Yeah,
good.
it's very
You'll
good.
take that.
Yeah.
He's top 3% when it comes to a shot blocker per Ken Palm. So there's your defensive anchor in the middle. And I thought we saw that a lot this year when Eduardo Andre would come into the game. The size in the middle changes what you're able to do defensively, and it changes how you have to attack offensively. From a defensive perspective, that pressure can increase on ball because if you get beat, you've got a big dude waiting back there to alter a shot. So I think this is critical to start with a guy in Harald Obioha who is an elite shot blocker already, brings you great size, has some mobility. I'm told from another college coach, not with the WV program, really high motor for him. So if you can get 20 to 25 minutes a game, 27 minutes out of a game out of him, that's a really good start on the defensive side. Offensively, if he can give you a couple putbacks, that's really impressive. He was a big dunker, guys. Almost every highlight you see of him, when he got the ball inside, he was looking to cram the thing.
Puts that thing down there.
He's looking to cram that
Now,
thing.
he's not a thin guy.
He's got some bulk to him.
Yeah,
Like he's going to be tough to move out of the post.
He's 7 foot. What? How much does he weigh? How much does he weigh?
I don't know that. He's a big dude.
270.
Oh.
Yeah, I think 270.
He had 15 games last year with double-figure points, 4 games with double-figure rebounds. So, again, you're a guy going to focus on the boards, block shots, alter shots, get some putbacks. He was also, this is an interesting stat. Now, this may change because he's putting a West Virginia jersey on, but he was top 3% nationally in fouls drawn per 40 minutes.
Yeah, that's over with.
I mean, it may change, Hop. I mean, somehow you put
yeah.
the gold blue on you and don't get the foul calls. Only a 62% free throw shooter, so he's got to work on that, but he got to the line.
So you're saying when he gets the ball down low, 3 guys are hanging.
He was trying to dunk it or they were fouling it.
Yeah, okay.
That's basically what was happening. So that's the start. Harald Obioha arrives as a 7-footer, stick him right in the middle of that defense, and let's go. Another addition, following Ross from North Texas, 6'9", Brennan Lorient. This is an intriguing prospect here, guys. He had a really good year last year. Began his career at Florida Atlantic for Dusty May, and we've heard some comments from Dusty May about how much he thinks about Ross Hodge. And he specifically, Ren told the story about talking to Dusty May and his comments about Ross, that Dusty May thought Ross got more out of Lorient than Dusty May would have had he coached him, which is pretty high praise. Lorient really popped on the scene last year. Second best offensive rating on the team for North Texas. He was named as the AAC American Conference 6th man of the year. Ken Palm had him as one of his 5 first-team All-AAC players. Athletic guy, can really guard, but his offensive game started to blossom a little bit last year. Of those national rankings we talked about, Hop, Ken Pom does it in 18 different categories.
Okay.
Lorient was nationally ranked in 10 of those categories. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Top 20% in 10 of those categories. He's top 5% in blocked shots. So you have one guy that was top 3% in block shots, another one that was top 5% in block rate. That's a pretty good start for a program that wants to build itself defensively. He was nearly a 60% two-point shooter. He was nearly a 50%, or right at 50, depending on which stats you look at. There was conflicting stats there, Hop. One had him with 23 attempts, one had him with 22. Made 11 of those. Of the 22, 50% shooter, so didn't shoot a lot, but was able to step out and do that. He's projected...
Three-point shooter, you're saying?
Three-point shooter,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
EvanMaya.com has a projection site where you can take players based on their career numbers, the last year numbers, project them forward on where they'll land. He has Lorient as in the 84th percentile in rebounding rate. So you already see, just in two guys, where that's starting to be built. Defensively, block shots, get after it on the glass. Okay, pretty good starting point right there.
Yeah.
I'm interested to watch Lorient because I think the runway for him offensively is really high. All right, pay attention to this next one. Are you ready?
Yes.
One of the databases I use allows you to go in and grab comps for different players based just on their statistical profile. So you've got to take that with a grain of salt. Not saying Lorient is going to be these guys, but the statistical profile that he put up last year at North Texas comped out to these different Big 12 players.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Tony, you listening to this?
I'm on it.
The scale goes up to 100 for a perfect match. So here are a couple of guys, I'll give you three, that matched at an 85 on a scale of 1 to 100. So not the exact player, but statistically very, very close. The three Big 12 players that Lorient's season last year matched up with.
He's building this up.
Yeah.
Josh Jefferson, Iowa State.
Oh, yeah. I'd take him.
I'd take that right now.
Absolutely.
If that translates up to a Big 12 season like Jefferson just had, right now.
Yeah.
How about a gentleman by the name of Norchad Omier from Baylor?
I loved him.
A double-double
Hoppy saw
machine.
him play in person.
Hoppy, you looked at him up close and live.
Yeah, he
was a valuable player.
A dude. Yeah.
Double-double machine. May have heard of a gentleman playing down in Lubbock by the name of J.T. Toppin.
Yep.
Oh,
Yes.
don't you blaspheme in here now. Don't you blaspheme.
Wait a minute, are you building up this guy to be
No, I'm just saying. I am saying I do think the runway is significant here, and the upside and what he did in the jump from one year to the next. Now, again, it's a different level. It's a different level of athlete. You're getting a different caliber of basketball player. All due respect to the American, of course. I get that you're jumping up in level. But from a statistical standpoint, it matches up with those three guys. If you get anywhere in the ballpark of those three guys, you're taking that, aren't you?
Sure.
He had an 84 match with Hunter Dickinson of Kansas, first-team all-conference player. Pretty good.
Yeah. Those are good signs.
Lorient will look to hammer that ball, too. 29 dunks in 34 games played, by the way.
So you're going to get one. 280 pounds they had him listed at UNC.
Obioha.
Yeah, 280.
So West Virginia fans like defense. They like dunks too. So we could get some of those, some rim rattlers.
Yeah, Lorient very athletic. So get him out, get him running a little bit. Ross said there's going to be times when they're going to pick to get in transition, but I think that's a really nice starting point for two guys. Again, you see the defensive credentials that come through there. You see the rebounding prowess for both of them. Good start there.
Good analysis. Good insights.
All right, a couple other things. Let's do a quick hit on DJ Thomas.
That was an interview we had last night with his associate head coach. Wow. Incredibly impressive.
If you missed it, go back and check out the podcast version of Sportsline from Wednesday night. It was really eye-opening. My man plays at a high school with 7,000 students.
Allen in Texas.
Max Preps has him as a top 30 national program. Thomas comes in, 6'8" kid, and again, true freshman, so you don't know how many minutes you're going to get. West Virginia last year had to play a couple true freshmen a lot more minutes than you like, but this guy's body's ready right now. You go watch some of the film on him, Hop, and he's ready. 6'8", bulky, can step out and shoot it. He can pass it a little bit. He can get on the block. He can go to the rim. He can hammer the dunk. He can play. Kind of brings a lot to the table here, and his coach told us last night, just thought he was really under-recruited. Didn't have some of the explosiveness maybe in his junior year that some other guys at the position had, and thinks Ross has a steal here with DJ Thomas.
Also described him a little bit similar to you, very serious, like he doesn't fool around, and
serious is good.
Yeah, Sirius is good, and like he's going to play.
He's going to come in and play. Now, part of why he may be very serious in nature, this was a really interesting tidbit that Coach Barkley gave us that you don't hear often. Don't know how many times it's happened. Maybe not a lot. Probably
Zero.
count on one hand or zero
Yeah.
that this has happened. That DJ's mom has an interesting occupation.
Okay.
Probably
She works in the
wouldn't guess it.
military.
Military.
Okay. Okay.
Tactical sniper.
Wow.
Yeah, tactical sniper.
Don't get that very often.
Coach said she doesn't play around. What I'm going to try to do, I thought, when she comes in, right?
Yeah.
John Hammond, rifle coach here.
Yeah.
Bring her onto the range. I'm sure, I know it's apples and oranges, but I bet you she would love to see that whole thing.
You can set that up, can't you?
A couple of breathing exercises. You think she can handle her breathing?
And John would be more than happy to kind of show her around there. But that's kind of wild. His mom is a tactical sniper in the military.
That's incredible. So probably why the son's serious as a heart attack, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, how about the height on these early guys?
Yeah, so you can tell Ross is building this out first, trying to get some size here on board, which is great. You need that.
If you remember, I don't know if he said this publicly or when we were just kind of chatting him, he said you've got to have a very large 5-man in his philosophy. I've got to have a very imposing big man in front of the basket. So that's what he's addressed.
Yeah. So that's where it is. Those are the commitments. Couple other North Texas guys still in the portal, uncommitted. We'll just talk about those as they come, if they come to fruition, as well as some other portal work obviously being done right now.
So what is your early grade on the early portal, folks?
I think pretty good based on what I just told you right there. Now you got to see these guys live. They've got to translate up. That's always the big question, right? When you're coming from UNC Wilmington or North Texas, the ability to transfer up. But from a size and athleticism and production that they did at the other level, I think you're in really good shape here right out of the gate. Thomas is really interesting as a freshman because, again, if you can build your roster as such that you don't have to play him 25 minutes a game, that's great. But I think in today's day and age, you're probably going to get guys on the floor that you need on the floor. But if that can be somebody that you can stick for a couple years, because that's the balance you're working here. You got to find your 8 guys that you're going to play, but you've also got to try and mix some guys in so you're not having to go through 13 to 15 new guys next year for the 3rd consecutive year. So I think it's a really good early start for Ross Hodge.
3 guys before the game is brought to us by our good friends at GoMart. I tell you all the time, get the rewards card. You save and build up these points, and you save on whatever you buy or your fuel. Let me just can I give you 5 items?
Yeah.
5 items. Just this month. Slim Jim Savage, you buy one of those, 350 bonus points. Slim Jim Monster, which is a relative of the Slim Jim Savage, 250.
All related to the Fly Rod Slim Jim, of course.
Correct. That's the
Same
Big Daddy.
family.
Slim Jim Giant, 200 bonus rewards points. But wait, you got to wash those down. How about a C4 Performance, 250 bonus points? Or the C4 Ultimate. We're talking not 250, not 275, not 3 1/4, 350 bonus reward points. Get that card.
So you just go ahead and scan that. They put it right on your on your account.
Done deal. And and then you can get eyes on I was just on the app right here. They got a bunch of stuff, man. They got like a bunch of stuff. Plus this week, go play their Domino Dreams video game off of their app and you save 20 cents off a gallon of gas per gallon. Not just you just don't get, they don't just take 20 off of 1 gallon. You can go get 20 gallons of gas. It's $4 you'll save, right? 20 times 20. So go do that. All you got to do is play a video game. So who said you can't make money playing video games?
Here's the other thing. The Donut revolution continues.
That's coming up later. I got something on that later.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, people are hot. 3 guys brought to us by Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They do sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. A little rainy here in Morgantown today, but this is kind of a weird little 2 weeks. In my opinion, you just got to get through here because April showers bring May flowers, right? So we got to get the rain. So we're getting that rains thing, but it's only a matter of we're ticking it down right now. It's going to be boating time.
Yes.
And at Wendell Marine Sales, and they've been in business for 40 plus years, right? They have those Avalon pontoon boats, which are the premier pontoons in the industry, made 100% in the United States. So that is just a a still photo of the live shot. If you go to their website, LouWendellMarineSales.com, there's a camera that will always show you what's going on there. So they're just lined up there, ready to go. So if you're in the pontoon mode, either you need repairs, get it ready for the spring-summer season, or you'd like to buy new, they've got them there at LouWendellMarineSales.com. Also, those G3 John boats, those Gator series. See, I could see Hoppy there. Now that he's semi-retired, I could see you spending an afternoon with your foot propped up there, just kind of casting out there, looking for some bass, just kind of, doing the thing.
Steve Dunlap has invited me out.
I think he just wants to throw you in. I think that's what he's.
You better hang on when Dunlap takes off on the boat.
Yeah. He's all gas, no brakes. Also, for their 40th anniversary, they're giving away a 40 horsepower Honda outboard motor, and all you got to do is go to their website and sign up. So that's pretty simple, and you can check that out.
I just am at their website right now.
Yeah, it's there, right?
Bow riders, fishing boats, outboard motors, pontoons.
I might have to get in the market for a tube again. Remember that was a big thing last summer?
I tried to get you a tube. I tried to get you a double tube in good condition from Chuck.
Well, all due respect, Chuck, I don't know if it was in good condition. Might have been a hole, might have been a leak. Can't be out in the middle of the lake, have it run out of air. It's been in the garage for 6 years.
Yeah, that probably would.
Hanging on a nail that punctured it.
That wouldn't go over well. What?
Chuck takes really good care of his stuff. I'm just saying, I would not have pitched that to you if I didn't have confidence in the things that Chuck has. I've borrowed enough of his stuff to know.
Yeah, I do know that you have.
Time for some textual healing. We're going to start off with a major announcement.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did we talk about this in the meeting before the
sure we
broadcast?
Three guys before the game's textual healing line, 304-404-4083. It's brought to us by episode800.com. If you go to episode800.com in the next couple of days, you will see our new offering. We got new popcorn.
Remember?
He is right about this. We did talk about
yes,
this is authorized.
Dave did bring it up.
As I announced several weeks ago, we're going to do a popcorn for spring. We're going to do a popcorn for baseball, and working again with Mountaineer Popcorn in Martinsburg and in Shepherdstown, and those guys are fantastic. They've come up with a new recipe, and it's being we did Mountaineer Munch, and then we did the Valentine's popcorn, which is just off the chart good. So for those of you that have bought this stuff, you know what I'm talking about. It's just mouth-watering. Anyway, here's the new one. It's called Home Run 304.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
And here's what it is. Time-limited edition, from the dugout to your doorstop, crafted in conjunction with us. We told them what we wanted in it, and they said, let's do this.
Got it.
Light, airy Mountaineer popcorn, just as your base.
Mm-hmm.
A rich, dark chocolate drizzle that hits like a grand slam. Salted caramel peanuts that bring the crunch, the salt, and the sweet finish you didn't know that you needed. This one's for the fans who stay to the last out and believe in late-inning magic. Limited release, crunch with pride. It's Home Run 304. It's available in small, large, and the tin. Now the
tin's been very popular.
the tin, I'll be honest with you. Small probably goes very well quick. If large would be all right, but get the tin. Trust me. Just trust me when I tell you this. It's freaking really, really.
Now some gifts, you got to buy a bunch of gifts. The small might be appropriate. Hand it out in your office. You have a bunch of people that work for you. Hand it out. Here's a little treat. Thank you.
Right.
But if you want,
tin's the way to go. Tin is the way to go.
But I personally, if you just want to go downtown, you put that baby like this, that you get that tin like this, and you're just going. That's what you're doing right there. Spend a nice night watching a baseball game. Eat the whole thing.
This does sound
it's
good.
Available it's available this coming week on episode800.com.
Everything they make is great. It's another one. Profile's good.
Excellent.
Chocolate, caramel, and peanuts in there. Can't go wrong with that great popcorn. That's available when on the website this week?
Mm-hmm.
Now?
Yeah. You should call it small, large, and dugout.
Yeah. Small, large, and large container. Tin. The tin's nice. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, this is going back to this thing. I've tried to be patient, subdued, and a pacifist as it relates to the most recent controversy consuming the Three Guys community, but I can no longer be silent.
Here comes a heater.
Many professional lives ago, I worked for 12 years at the Wonder Bread Hostess cake distribution store in Morgantown.
Oh, yeah.
Know that well.
Well known.
Greenbag
It's off the
Road.
Greenbag Road, yeah.
Sure it is.
There, within a 75-mile radius, we sold massive amounts of every variety of Hostess cakes known to man.
Mm-hmm.
One such variety of delicious breakfast cake was produced in 3 delectable flavors, chocolate, powdered, and crunch.
Here we go.
Each service day, most route salesmen would carry one rotating variety tray of these tasty treats, with each tray carrying 36 individual packages. That's 36 per day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks, 6 route trucks, 12 years. That's 673,920. Wait for it. Dough nets.
Thank you.
That's dough as in a female deer and nets as in cutting down the nets.
Thank you.
Never in the history of Hostess
That's what I
lore
called it. He's going to get to why.
have they ever been called donuts. That's insulting to snack cake aficionados everywhere, and in my world would have resulted in one being ostracized, lifetime ban from the Hostess Kingdom.
Great, thank you. Yes.
Tony, why would you call it donuts?
I never did. I always called it donuts.
You did not.
I don't know.
He was the donut. Real quick, is this how many was that? Almost 700,000 of
Almost
them. Rough
700,000,
estimate, give or
Closer,
take.
yeah.
I might have had half of those. It's reborn. You can't get those here in Morgantown out that Hostess store again, but it's reborn. The rebirth of donuts is continuing.
Where are
Yeah,
they?
the GoMart.
Had a buddy. Yeah, they
Oh,
got
the
them at
GoMart?
GoMart. Yeah, got them at GoMart, of course. Buddy of mine went to a youth child's birthday party here recently,
Okay.
and this was the fare that was available. Jake,
yeah.
if you could throw up that picture there.
Oh, there they are.
There they are.
There are those
The chocolate version and the powdered
nets.
donut
See,
version.
what would you go with there?
All of them.
Right.
I'd go
But-
chocolate.
I always go chocolate first.
Okay.
But every time then I have the powdered sugar, which is next, I always think this might be my favorite too. But
Oh, really?
I go chocolate first if I have to.
Yeah.
I would eat that whole plate and not blink.
No, you wouldn't.
So
You
head
would?
over to GoMart. Got a nice little display of them, right? A little end cap there. The one in Morgantown I was just in, had to get some.
So where
Well,
they
they got my gas there. Used my rewards, of course, for gas.
Of course you did.
Then I was there, so I thought I'm going to go in and get some donuts.
So were they gone for a while and back?
No.
They were
No,
never
he's
gone.
saying they closed the Wonder Bread
Well, I knew
store
they
down.
closed
Yeah, so
that
now
store.
just go to GoMart and get them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just go right into GoMart, pick them up. They're right on the end. Powdered sugar or the chocolate.
That was great. Hostess store was great. Like every now and then, you just go in there and go, "Oh man,
Yeah.
I gotta get some stuff."
I used to do unmerciful work on those fruit pies.
Oh, you like those?
Crush them.
Those are so good.
We sold them, yeah. They were good. Anyway, this gentleman closes up. He says, I will now sleep better knowing I've spoken my piece, and may God have mercy on your soul. As always, thanks for all the smiles. Signed, Owen White's granddad. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was good intel.
That
There.
was a great intel. Great numbers.
Yeah.
Should have done that in spreads on stats.
Texter says, I hope I am not in the minority, but I absolutely love the new dirty joke segment of the show and hope it continues into episode 800.
Who wrote that?
Didn't even name. Next person says, this should hang in a museum or at least inside the facilities building. The faces Brad and Hoppy and made to Tony's the spreader of old wives' tales when I was telling the joke. There it is on the right-hand side.
Uncomfortable.
Brad was dismayed.
I know
Hoppy
it-
was stunned.
Yeah.
Tried to stop it.
Yeah. Kind of.
No,
I felt bad.
Next.
Okay.
What'd you feel bad about?
I felt bad for you.
That was years ago. Kevin in Princeton writes,
Obviously, you have not forgotten.
I think it's funny now.
Oh.
Kevin in Princeton writes, what I love about the show is you have all three types of kids in the class. Brad's the voice of reason. No, don't do it. Don't say that joke. Announce a new popcorn that isn't finalized. Announce a tentative date of the food truck. Hoppy's the instigator. What was the joke you told? Want to tell it now? And Tony's the kid who always takes on the double dog dare.
Yes.
Sure, I'll tell you the joke. Love the show. And that was a hilarious joke, but I'm reporting you all to the principal. You guys are getting detention for sure.
Yeah.
I think he nailed that pretty well.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Typecast that pretty well.
Yep.
Next texter writes in from Ohio, Tony, Brad, and Cold Lunch Hoppy. Can you explain this revenue share and the relationship with the trust? I know it's coming, but I can't find a straight answer on how the two will be intertwined, or will they be? For example, would a school have available revenue sharing funds with Country Roads Trust funds in addition to that, or will it all be out of the same pot? Thanks, guys. Jason in Ohio. Okay. As best as I can. Okay. As best as I can. Some variation of the trust will come internal to WVU.
Right.
Okay. Some of it will. But you also have to have that external, not with the university collective or trust, that can handle those additional dollars that would come in that a student athlete could make. So in other words, if I cut my deal with Brad and I'm the university and we did our deal, done. But Hoppy owns Hoppy's beer company. Well, no, I can't use beer. Hoppy owns a tire company. But he wants Brad as an influencer, a spokesperson. Then Hoppy has to go to the external entity. They'll advise him to go to the external entity to fund the job that he wants Brad to do.
That makes sense.
Now, conversely, you don't have to do it that way. If Hoppy's tire company just went straight to Brad, he could just cut a deal straight with Brad.
But there would still have to be some documentation.
You have to have some documentation, but you could still go directly to the person.
Yeah, because part of this is they say they're going to set up a clearinghouse that will approve these deals, which I still have a lot of questions about the legality of that. That seems like it's a disaster and a lawsuit waiting to happen.
So you're saying it wouldn't...
Because what it's worth in Alabama isn't what it's worth here, just like a house is not worth the same based on where it is. Market value is what somebody will pay you. How can an independent entity try and assign market value to this stuff?
Well,
that's in essence taking away market value.
I don't know. I'll tell you this. You raise a good point, Brad. I would think, though, just like for a house, you can determine market value. Look at comparables, right? So you can.
Don't get me started on that process. Do not get me started on that process. But I think this is challengeable to infinity. So stay tuned on that.
So you're saying, okay. I am fascinated.
Yeah, because I'll just give you one little example. There's 100 of them.
All right.
But gymnastics is bigger in certain parts of the country than others.
Sure.
So who's to say Livy Dunn, who was at LSU making a ton of money, should have a deal approved in a similar fashion to what a gymnast does at Kent State? Now, they'll say to you, well, we'll take that into account and we'll take in different market variabilities and where sports are popular. But I think that's wrought with argument, in my opinion.
I think this is, as I said earlier, I think this is one of the most fascinating parts of the change of the college sport landscape. And I am, in semi-retirement, devoting a portion of my time to trying to understand this, at least in terms of WVU, as completely as possible. I have another meeting scheduled, so I want to be able to talk about this intelligently and share that
I'll give you another example from real world. When I was in the department selling, I had this conversation with an ad agency executive who was representing a major national brand.
Okay.
And the person that I was talking with was trying to get me to drop the price that I was charging them for a West Virginia sponsorship because she said it was out of whack with what they were doing at other schools. Okay. One of the first times I gave the...
I'll tell you something.
With all due respect, I don't care what you're paying at Arkansas or Alabama or Boston College. Do not care. It doesn't affect me. Here's what this rate is at West Virginia. And if you don't want to pay it, I understand. We'll go find another sponsor in your category. But you don't want to pay it? Totally understand that. But you're not going to tell me what the price is. This is the price. You can either buy it or not buy it. And then she kept pushing me on it. And this was a product that you could walk into different establishments and purchase. And one of the things I just said was, listen, when I walk into New York City, they charge me one price, and it's different from the location down the street that I go to. And I don't say to the person in New York, well, I'll tell you what, in West Virginia, I pay less than that for this. Here's what I'll give. I'll give you that. I either pay the price that they're asking me or I don't buy the product. You're not going to dictate price. The price is the price. Take it or leave it. That's market value. Is that not market value? What I could charge and get was different than what another school could get. And there were a lot of factors that go into that. And I didn't want some arbitrary person sitting in Oregon to come in and look at that deal and go, nah, I'll tell you what. They're paying something that's not quite in line here at West Virginia. I'm going to strike that down.
Well, I understand what you're saying. And somebody may come in and go and not have and just say, well, this is what we pay here, here, and here, so this is what we think we should pay you. I mean, that's what they're doing, but I understand your point is that
we're not limiting coaching salaries anywhere.
So you're saying you can do that, but this is our price. And then it's just about
What someone will pay you is what the market value is.
Yes, what
We've
someone
seen
will
that
pay.
with coaches.
Yeah.
What a school is willing to pay that coach is what the market
That's
value is.
what the value is. The value is what somebody's willing to pay you.
Someone's not sitting in a room in Indianapolis going, well, I'll tell you what, you're paying Kirby Smart a little bit too much. Is that deal getting struck down?
But don't you think that the goal is to say that, Brad's going to be the spokesman for this company, for this beer, this brewery, and we're going to pay him $2 million. And you say, and the review board says, well, that's out of whack. How do you pay?
His question is this.
It's
a fundamental question. For example,
that's the market worth. If someone's going to pay you $2 million, it doesn't matter what their reason is, and you're in court right now because you're limiting the ability of these athletes to go make the market value for their services. You're going to try and limit it again, and you're telling me that's not going to get challenged in court? If someone's willing to pay you $2 million, even if it's because it's a fan of that university and they want to give that person extra money, okay, that's their market value. Is that? Why is it being artificially limited somewhere else? I'm not making a judgment on whether you should try and put some constraints in play or not. I'm just saying that clearinghouse to me sounds like it's something that's going to get challenged immediately in court, and the NCAA has lost every other court case it's gone against. Why would this one be upheld?
Because they would lose, because the argument would be, how can you
just restricted their value.
Restricted the value that you
Which is why they're in court losing right now, right?
Can't restrict.
That's all I'm saying.
Can't restrict. Texter, which is one player that Rich Rodriguez would want to add to his team on offense and defense that played at West Virginia after 2007? This person says, my votes would be for Kevin White and Carl Joseph.
Good ones.
Yeah, those are good.
Give me I take a Colton McKivitz, Zach Frazier, Wyatt Milam.
Keep going.
Offense.
Yeah, pretty good.
Defensively, give me a little Bruce Irvin.
Yeah.
Can somebody come get the passer?
Yeah.
How about just
among a million others?
Anybody who can be a wide receiver and stretch the field and go up and win one-on-one battles. How about that?
Like that?
Take that too. Give me a couple linemen though first.
High scope spreads. Hoppy, huge penalty flag to ESPN. Their college game day this past weekend at the Final Four. I don't know if you guys saw this. They had a graphic on there that said coaching vacancy still open and had West Virginia listed.
Oh, really?
After they had hired Ross Hodge.
I made a mistake.
Joe in Charleston, South Carolina says pretty basic stuff. 10-second Google search. Couldn't fix. Or Hoppy would go to ChatGPT. Texter, Ross Hodge said the right words in his introduction, except what he didn't say about his contract being tied to Ren Baker. So what they're talking about there is that his buyout decreases by a certain percentage if Ren is no longer the athletics director. So did Darren DeVries, which is to say I no longer consider anyone at West Virginia to be more than 1 year or less employee, athlete, from the president on down. Now, one cannot blame a person for bettering themselves, but we as West Virginia fans like to think there's loyalty, and that it's there because their hearts are there. There's rarely the case, as the Zach Fraziers of the world are few and far between. This is all to say that one cannot get too emotionally invested in any one individual, or you'd better get the proper mindset in the new era, or expect to be continually let down. Sorry about the negative nature of the text. I'm sure you can point out many positives that coexist.
I said it's more transactional.
Different world. Texter says, I have not heard anything about Eddie Vesterinen this spring. Is he on the team, recovered from injury? Yeah. He was out there. Started as a quasi practice and little limited stuff, and then he was going full go toward the end. Three guys brought to us by our friends at Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's biscuit. And for the rest of this month, they've got that fantastic deal where you go in and you buy a biscuit for regular fare, regular price, and then you can get the Dottie, the sausage biscuit, the Peppy, or a hash brown for just an additional $1.
Good deal.
I think I'd take the Dottie and the sausage biscuit right now. I'm starving.
Wow.
Because the Dottie has the hash brown on it. So I'm in essence getting 3 of those things on that screen.
That's a good point.
How do you constantly mismanage your food?
Yeah, he does a really
Constantly.
bad job. Yeah. He should learn from me.
I know you're... Like this morning, I had a couple things to do this morning, and then this afternoon, I had a sandwich made.
Did you make it?
No, my wife made it for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
talking about?
That doesn't count. What are you, 6?
She cut it in a diagonal or just down the middle? Take the crust off for you before she put it in the Ziploc baggie to put in your brown bag cold lunch?
It was in a Ziploc bag.
She put a chocolate milk in there too?
It was a little thing of grapes.
Busy looking at offensive rebounding rate for Brennan Lorient. You're over here having, no, honey, I would like it cut diagonal. No credit for that. Karen gets all credit.
Karen does
your life.
Yes.
Oh, that poor lady. Now that you're around all the time,
Oh,
her life has changed, and it hasn't been for the better.
It's hard. It's hard on her.
Good morning, three guys. I was listening to Gino Auriemma on Dan Patrick, and something he said made me think. Don't think schools will get to the point where they just pick a sport and only focus their NIL and revenue share on that sport and let the other sports fend for themselves. Not that it will be good for the program, but it would be cost-effective. Thank you, Evan in South Charleston. Yeah, I do think that's going to happen.
I was really rooting for Yukon and Gino.
Wow.
I know Brad knows him pretty well. He spent time together. I only met him once or twice. He was very hospitable, and the fact that they had that long stretch of winning 11 and then last one in 2016, and with the emergence of other schools, I think he was wondering, do you get back there? And he said that in the post-game interview, like, yeah, you don't know whether you're going to.
Thrilled for him.
And I was thrilled for him too.
I've said this before. I had an opportunity to work with him for a couple of years. I was there for the first of his 12 national titles. You know what I always give him a lot of credit from, and he has been one of my favorite coaches I've run across in my nearly 30 years in athletics. One of the things I'll always give him credit for, the asbestos year here at West Virginia, Yukon came into play, and we had to play him at Morgantown High School.
Wow.
And they had the program rolling at that point, had, I think, multiple national titles by that point. And he came in here and could have big-timed that thing and could have made noise and just made comments, never did. Just was absolutely above board with it, handled it, and was very gracious in that situation.
Won by like 100 points.
It got us pretty good.
Yeah, they were.
Got us pretty good.
Yeah.
And the last story I'll tell about that, I've told this before, is we had an autograph signing scheduled for that day for our players to go up into the Morgantown High cafeteria and sign a kids club event. And so the game ends, and I was standing right at the top of the stairs where the teams came out, and I was talking to Gino and a couple of the assistants, and the Yukon players came out first, right? Road team. So they got done and they were ready to get out of there. And a couple of them came up and saw that you could tell it was set up for an autograph session. Bless their hearts. They walked over and sat at the tables on their own. Like nobody said anything. And I'm looking at them going, I don't think I'm going to say anything. I mean, number one team in the country wants to go over and sign autographs. They sat there and signed autographs. Awesome. Our team didn't come out for quite a while. It was not a pleasant locker room experience. The Yukon girls sat there and signed autographs for like 30 or 45 minutes. And finally, Gino didn't say anything. Finally, I'm like, Gino, if you guys got to go, we're good. Thanks for the time.
That's incredible.
A little impromptu autograph session. So he was very gracious in that situation. That was an odd setup and a weird setup that we had to play over at Morgantown High.
I think that, and he said something interesting in that postgame too, where he got emotional, where you would think the 12th time, but again, he got emotional about the whole thing. And this, I just think they've had this remarkable program. Really was one of the early entries, right, into women's dominant basketball.
Mm-hmm. It really took the baton from Tennessee.
Yes.
They lapped over, and Gino really took it from Pat Summitt and pushed the sport forward. Rebecca Lobo was there as one of the first choices or picks or assignments into the WNBA and helped launch the WNBA with some other players due to the popularity.
And Brad, I texted you, I think you were I think your daughter at a softball game, but I texted you during the game because they were hot. Mm-hmm. They were hitting shots.
They were good. He had a team.
Yeah.
Final score that day was 100-28. This is who they had on their team. Oh, my gosh.
It was not pretty.
Sue Bird.
Okay.
Playing in Morgantown High.
Svetlana Abramozova. Swin Cash.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer.
Shea Ralph.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good team.
That's what I'm saying. And they just rolled right over. So if you were lucky enough to be in attendance that day, you got a signature from Swin Cash, who's in the Hall of Fame. Is Sue Bird in yet? If she's not, she will be.
She just got named.
She just got named in?
Yeah, this weekend.
So there were two basketball Hall of Famers, not women's basketball Hall of Famers. I'm talking about basketball Hall of Famers that were over at Morgantown High signing autographs.
Bird did not have a great game. She was 2 of 7 from the field, just had 5 points, 2 assists in 24 minutes.
Yeah, 24 minutes.
Who went off? Let me see who went.
Probably everybody else.
He played a lot of people.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did. All right, here we go. Jim, the poet laureate, wondering out loud, how the Mountaineer baseball team is not ranked in the rankings. Will this be another screw job? I'm just thinking out loud. We got a lot of these about the baseball team. And, at this point, they have a gaudy record, but at this point, nothing to show for it as far as national rankings
That's
go.
just one, though. There's 3 polls that they're ranked in, right? USA coaches, they're like 25th. Perfect game rankings, they were like 11. So they're in some other polls.
Yeah. Big one this weekend at Houston. Like to get 3 there, if possible. Texter says, when should we expect the basketball coaching staff to be completed? Will this keep us from being successful in the portal because of the continuing unknowns? No, I don't think so. I think that David in Rochester there. I don't think so, David. I think everything's going. They're fine. They're good. There's people that are working that aren't even hired, if that makes sense. Not announced yet.
Not announced.
Yeah.
Of course, you got to follow the portal rules very closely.
Yeah. Okay, here's the last one. Go ahead, Jake. Put up the picture of our guy here.
Yeah.
So this texter wanted me to use this and say this. Mountaineer baseball, the Rodney Dangerfield of baseball. 7 ranked teams, at least 9 losses. Auburn ranked number 11, a 22-10 record. I said 22-10. Only 2 ranked teams have fewer losses than West Virginia. No respect, I tell you. Big 12 in general, sucking in the rankings. Kansas is 27-6. They're 22. Arizona's 22-9, and they're ranked 24. There you go. Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah. I want to tell you, my wife, she's a terrible cook. I walked in the other day, smoke pouring out of the kitchen. I said, honey, what's for dinner? She said, tuna fish sandwiches.
My wife wanted to go someplace expensive for dinner for our anniversary. I took her to the airport.
Boy. Okay. I think we've done enough damage here. I got to go to that Boy Scout thing.
My wife said I want to go someplace I'd never been before for dinner. I said, go to the kitchen.
Boy Scout dinner's big.
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
Every year.
Yeah, big dinner.
Hey, that is a big deal. Safe travels over there, bro.
Yeah, the only thing my wife makes for dinner is reservations. Three guys before the game brought to us by Jan Dills, attorneys at law. They won't take no for an answer.
Don't do it. Just read the copy. Don't do it. He's going to do another one.
No. I know. My mouse all of a sudden went stupid. Three guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years, and hydrated as well. By GoMart. Get a GoMart rewards card. Go to GoMart.com for details. By Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's Biscuit. And by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. What are you laughing about?
I looked up Rodney Dangerfield jokes. I came out of a tough neighborhood. I bought a water bed and found a guy on the bottom of it.
Thanks to producer Jake. We've done enough damage. See you.